Hello, everyone. My name is Ting, and on behalf of the National Stuttering Association, I want to wish and extend everyone a very happy National Stuttering Awareness Week. One of the most rewarding aspects of my work with the NSA is being able to connect with the community on a deeper level, reaching out to individuals with stories that reflect the spirit of our community, whether it's resilience, overcoming obstacles, and the uneven path of self-acceptance. These remarkable individuals express relatable aspiration and make for all the better conversation. With me today, I have Maleek Jackson, a member of our community who, like all of us, has a story he's excited to share. Maleek, good morning, and thank you for being here. How's your morning been?
Good morning. Good morning. Thanks for having me. My morning's going well. Got the sleepy face on. I just woke up not long ago, but at least I'm rested.
I love it. I love it. Let's just jump right in. So, first and foremost,
Okay.
like everyone's story, tell us a little bit about your upbringing and specifically how, your personal childhood informed the man that you would become today.
Well, I grew up in a large family in South Philly. The fifth of 9 boys. Um, Not in the traditional household. I was raised by my aunt, who's my legal guardian, and my parents, they struggle with drug addiction growing up. So my influences came from my surroundings and my environment. Um, and the circumstances that surrounded my environment led me to do things that sent me to prison for 10 years. And my journey from my childhood to the man I am today developed me into the man I am today. It's filled with a whole lot of adversity, overcoming. I mean, just like anybody, like anybody's story, the beginning of the journey is always smooth.
Mm-hmm.
It's only when you get to start the rolling that you gotta, keep on placing one foot in front of the other. And just like anybody else, that was my story.
Mm-hmm. Can you take a little bit of time to talk about when did you know that you had, a stutter, or when did that become more prominent in your life, and especially in childhood? And did you know anyone else in your family or anyone else in your community that expressed the same condition that you did when you were younger?
Right. So um I didn't really know I had a stutter. Um I was like, all right, so my aunt worked at the school that I went to. And ironically, I lived right across the street from the school that I went to. So she was directly involved in my day-to-day activities in school, especially during like my middle school, my elementary and middle school years. And when I was young, I had a issue with just pronouncing words, mispronounced words, and that's something that she noticed. And I believe I must have been maybe like 3 or 4. She
Mm-hmm.
had started taking me to speech classes at the school. So at the school, every day after school, and this was, if I can remember, I did it every year until the 8th grade. I did it every day, every year until I graduated. Every grade I did it. Every day after school, I would go to speech class for an hour, and we would go over how to articulate the alphabet and where do the letters emerge from within the mouth. Um, you know, I've never seen anyone in my household stutter, like my brothers. None of them stutter.
All
I
eight of
never been
them.
made fun. Huh?
All eight of them.
No, they never made. Yeah, I'm the only one. They never made fun of me for stuttering. But I was surrounded every day in speech class with students and people like myself. Um, and that was my experience.
That's really fascinating. I think that one of the things that I feel really intrigued by is like the relationship that we have with our stutter as children, I also went to speech class and speech therapy, also an after
Mm,
school thing when,
yeah.
there are other activities like hanging out and playing around that I love to do instead of that. But I found that it was very shaping in that. But I'd love to know, sort of like reflecting on that, your relationship with, obviously, like coming into the fold with a certain community as an adult, but like how has like kind of your relationship changed, now that you are, an adult and you have your career and you have a business, and the kind of impact or sort of the considerations that come with it today?
Um, that's a good question. It's a good question because I never let it hinder me.
Mm,
I never let it hinder me. As far as like insecurities, now being an adult, I can look back and say, "Oh wow, I can see how that was a major, insecurity." And it caused a lot of people to succumb.
mm,
They have issues with with establishing social relationships and stuff like that.
mm,
Um, for me, I wanted to use that as a way to empower me. So when I started realizing that I really had a speech problem, what I did was I started pursuing this like studying language, just out of my own. And by way of that, I acquired the Arabic language and reading and writing it. And when I would read it, I wouldn't study. I wouldn't stutter. I wouldn't study at all. And I found that empowering. And the human brain is so strong and so powerful, um, that you really can overcome a lot of things. And one of the baselines of my foundation growing up is that I was always poured into. Like
mm,
I was never told wasn't enough. I was always told that I was full and that I had everything. Amidst of not having everything in retrospect. So I grew up with a certain belief. Um, and I grew up with a certain certainty about myself amidst my my deficiencies, for lack of a better word.
that's powerful. I want to take a minute to talk about, you've had this really incredible journey of self realization. Today, how would you describe like what being an individual means to you and why it's important in relation to like your particular career and your path?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, being an individual is very important. I mean, just think about it. If you miss the opportunity to be an individual, right, then you miss the opportunity to have a true human experience on this earth. And it's only through like them true human experiences, right, that we get the Steve Jobs of the world. You
Mm-hmm.
know, um, if you, it's all everybody's different. It's power in being different. It's power in knowing who you are, knowing what you want, and knowing what you don't want.
Mm,
Um, but a lot of people lack the proper, how can I say this, in a dialogue,
mm,
right? Something that I was nurtured upon.
yeah.
Um, so innately, I always had a strong belief. I always was taught to think alone. Of course, I got 9 brothers. Don't follow him. Don't follow him. I'm getting in trouble. I'm getting in trouble. Right. But at the end of, being an individual is the most powerful tool within you,
Indeed.
right? Because then you open up the doors to truly have an impact on someone's life, right? And not
Yeah.
just be a carbon copy. And like I mentioned before, the human brain is so powerful. So you sit back with yourself and you think about who you are and your uniqueness about yourself and what can you do in this life through your passions and your interests. How can you leave an impact, right? Um, those things can't be achieved or realized except through individualism, you
It's just so
know?
I completely agree. It's so refreshing to talk about this. The way that you talk about the environment that you were raised in with respect to like your supportive brothers and your aunt, and just sort of the runway that was given given your support and that empowerment. I feel like, in anyone's situation is so crucial during those developmental years. In relation to your aunt, can you like recall like any specific advice that she gave you that stuck with you for your lifetime and that you reflect back on today?
Yeah, a whole bunch of it. She always told me to live my life and do what you want, right? And what that mean to me, what that meant to me was, Maleek, you got 9 brothers. She also used to tell me this. At that moment, my older brother had got killed 7 years prior, right? And she said, get your education. You can be whatever you want. You can do whatever you want. Or you can be like your brother. So she always gave me good advice. I just seen her yesterday. Um,
Mm.
I think I think nowadays the fruits of her labor with me
Mm-hmm.
was in her actions, was in how she decided that I needed to be taught, the things that I needed that was essential to who I am today. Um, and it was a battle for her because first, she's my aunt and she's my mom and my dad,
Mm-hmm.
along with my brothers that she's caregivers of as well. So a lot of what she did was through her actions, was
Mm-hmm.
through her actions. Um, Actions that I benefit from today, even the way she talked, to me.
Yeah.
I can be dealing with something, and when she opened her mouth, you would think she is the most blessed woman on earth, as far as wealth, as far as health, as far as friendships, relationships, professional relationships, because she speaks from a place that knows no doubt. She speaks from a place
Mm.
of certainty. And this is why I get my belief. And that's why I believe in God so much. And this is why religion is the big part of my life. Um, yeah, yeah.
It can't be said enough how, well, first and foremost, she sounds like an incredible woman and, is such a like a foundation, like a rock for so many people
Right.
in your family. I think, when it comes to like our experiences, not just as people who stutter, but just people looking to find the way around the world, having those advocates, having those mentors, having just that, you know, you know, unerring support is so crucial, regardless of what people are going through. So I feel very grateful to hear that you've had that, and that as sort of a North Star, as sort of a way to kind of keep a lot of things in perspective. Because sometimes the most healthy thing we can have is a reality check. And so it's really
Absolutely.
awesome to hear how special like your relationship is with your aunt and her being
That's my
sensitive
belief.
to, yeah, sensitive to all that is you, all your multitudes and your experience as a person who stutters and giving you that runway. And so speaking of like you becoming the person you are today, it's a great segue. So tell us the inspiration behind like your business and what you do now. Was there a certain moment that kind of put you on this path towards, working within like health and fitness? Because obviously like social wellness is very
Right.
important to you. I got that feeling just in the first time I talked to you, but tell us how like this whole master plan, came to be.
So social wellness is very important, but it's really not like a master plan for real, for real. It's really not. It's me looking at what I've been through, right? And my current place in life or my previous place in life, and seeing how can I better myself. It's me looking at the things that I might view as a disadvantage going into the world, and I gotta strengthen myself. So, and that's how I created my life.
Mm.
And for example, um, I'm a fitness professional. I run a personal training company with 7 different components to it, a for-profit side and a non-profit side, right? Um, um, but I got into it because I grew up boxing.
Yeah.
I grew up boxing. I fell in love with boxing because it was another means to express myself. It was another means to express myself. That's why I got into boxing. So I didn't really get into it to pursue it to the highest level. I got in it for the personal work, right? Even before I really knew that, yo, you onto something. You know, you on that path to development to better yourself. And I did this throughout my whole life, right? So at the school, after I used to take speech classes, I go to the boxing gym, right? But it was incapacitating, right? The streets was incapacitating. So after I go to the boxing gym, I'll go hang with my homies, right? For the remainder of the afternoon, the evening, or the night, right? And we do what teenagers do, right? So when I start getting older, I start making decisions that, require consequences. But boxing never left me because it was a form to express myself and nobody never encouraged me to do it. So when I fell into a situation when I was incarcerated and I had to spend 10 years of my life in prison from age 16 to 26, right? Look at the reality of the situation, right? You talk about a place that is hopeless, a place that people go, where people go at and they forgotten, where people go at, they serve their time. What you talk about is rehabilitation, but in my opinion, is a personal choice if you want to change the way you think or not. So when I found myself, serving those 10 years, I dedicated those 10 years to learn the Arabic language. And I dedicated those 10 years to learning and developing my understanding of the science of boxing from the ground up, And the profound question that garnered that was, I was about maybe, I want to say 18, 19, fresh in on the sentence. And one of my friends asked me, yo, what you gonna do with your life? What you gonna do when you go home? Like, how you gonna make money? It was a profound question because I'm in here for doing things to get money. Shooting, robbing people, taking money and doing things that, the result is money. So he's saying, when you go home this time as an adult, not as a misguided or immature 16-year-old, what you gonna do with your life? I don't know.
Yeah.
You tell me what I'm going to do. And when I realized that was my response, I didn't like that. So my answer to that question came from the things that I liked, the things that I had interest in, or the things that I was passionate about. So I looked at that within myself and I said, okay, I don't know what this mean, but I got to stick to this, right? And when I stuck to it and I developed myself into it, I said, now I gotta find a way to monetize what I learned.
Yeah, for real.
And so, for me, I kept boxing so close to me because I needed it. It was a coping mechanism for me. I spent 3 years of those 10 years in solitary confinement, right? So the mental aspect of boxing, forget the physical aspect of boxing, the mental aspect of boxing. I don't think without boxing, I would have the mindset that I had. I don't think without boxing that I would have the fortitude that I had. I don't think without boxing that I'll have the perseverance that I have. So that's how this whole thing came about. And it's just organic. And as far as the nonprofit side of the business is a gun violence prevention. It's for gun violence, prevent gun violence, right? And we use boxing as a vehicle. And I teach this mindset. Why? Because I experienced it.
It's really
and I'm still experiencing it. I experienced it when I was in prison. And I experienced it when I came home I was unemployable. I'm Black. I come from the inner cities. I'm uneducated, and I'm a felon. You can kiss all your hopes of getting a job goodbye. So I still use boxing in my entrepreneurial journey while pursuing boxing because it's the mindset. And the reason why I do the violence prevention work and using boxing as a vehicle because of my passion,
Mhm.
because of my pain, right? When I was incarcerated and I was on my way out, my little brother Azim Dukes got killed. He got shot in his eye, instantaneously, gone. As a young fella like myself, going back into the same environments that I came out to, right? I mean, going back into the same environments that I just left. What's my mindset?
Mhm.
Do I give myself an opportunity to live my full life, or do I do something to extract revenge for my brother? And I tell people this because unless you lost a brother, and I lost 3 of them, you don't really know the pain.
Mhm.
You know, it's easy for somebody to give advice when it's not your pain. When your pain is like, So when I came home and my goal was to, to teach what I learned, to be a teacher, right? And if I can be a teacher, then to be a teacher, I gotta be a real good student. So I gotta keep learning. And I said, the moment that I find any success and I'm able to create a platform, I'm gonna do this for Azim. And other part of the business is strictly from in honor of my brother,
Mhm.
right? So everything that I do and everything that I'm involved in is a reflection of my circumstances or my situations. The things that I find weakness within me and that I try to strengthen and bring up to the level of the other parts of me. I really don't look here and I really don't look there, right? Because there's nothing there for me. This journey started when I was locked up. This journey
Mhm.
started when I was locked up, sitting in a hole. 23 hours. You only get 23 hours in, you only get 1 hour out. You eat 3 times a day. They stop serving food at 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon. You shower, 3 times a week,
Mhm.
Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays,
Yeah.
for every bit of 4 minutes, if that. So I'd be a fool to to leave a dark situation like that and don't keep boxing to my side. That's the only light I had. So when I
Yeah.
came out in the world and I needed direction, I turned my flashlight on. I turned boxing on, right?
Mhm.
Adversity, if I can't fight through it, I can think through it and I can start to move through it or move around it.
Yeah.
And that's just like through each round of a fight. And that's my personal philosophy that I try to apply within my business and within the community in my business.
Wow. Malik, that is one of the most compelling and deeply, vulnerable answers. So thank you for being so authentic. I mean, thank you for being you first and foremost. Like that's one thing that I just really it resonated with me when we first talked, and I feel it manifesting again right now. And I just want to say that like you have such a unique way of contextualizing like trauma and hardship and then using it and reconstruing it as like a tremendous force in your life and as sort of this like guiding precept. And I think that I always felt that this conversation wasn't just going to ultimately be about like being a person who stutters and living through life, because some of the takeaways that I think my hope is that for these conversations that they can apply and resonate with anyone, and anyone who experiences
Absolutely.
any type of setback, losing a relative, being locked up, being in circumstances that are out of your control. It's just like, let's take a minute to be human, right? And just speak from like a very authentic place, which you do all the time, which is honestly the way to go. And I
Absolutely.
think, you know, I obviously have a lot of sensitivity and compassion for like younger people who, whether they be 16 or younger or just kind of figuring out their lives and looking at the world, experience a lot of insecurity about like who they are, because there's all this dialogue and all this sort of noise about where you should go and what you shouldn't do. But I think what's so effective about the way you live your life is that you go deeply within yourself and say, hey, it may sound like obvious to someone like you, but it's like, what do I care about? Like, what is actually at the seat of like my passion and about, my skill? Because ultimately, I feel a lot of people, just speaking from experience here, like may do things at first that they're not really passionate about, and then they eventually work their way up towards, a career or a hobby, and ideally a fulfillment that's like really real. And so I guess in kind of continuing that train of thought, like what advice do you have for just in general people who've had detours, people who've had non-traditional paths to success, people who are still in something that doesn't serve them or fulfill them, about making that jump to the passion, for those people who are just right at that edge right now?
Well, unless you plan on dying tomorrow, you better live your life. That's first and foremost. That's first and foremost. Unless you plan on dying tomorrow, and I don't know nobody, all the people I know want to live, right? Life is a beautiful thing. Open your eyes to it, right? As far as like change, like moving through the chapters of your life, right? You have to first have a strong belief in something besides yourself.
Mm-hmm.
I have strong belief in something besides yourself. I encourage everybody to it's two parts to this question, right? It's really three parts. First part, I'll speak to people that hold a 9 to 5, right? Hold a traditional job. I would say to those people who hold a traditional job, it's one of the greatest things you can have. It's one of the greatest things you can have. And that's part of individuality. Everybody is not going to be an entrepreneur. Everybody's not going to hold a 9 to 5. Everybody's not going to have a career, right? And if the people that's working a 9 to 5, you should aspire to scale. You should aspire to climb the ladder within your workforce, right? And if you are ambitious enough and courageous enough to think and to follow your own passions and your own desires about what you want to do with your life, right? You should do it during your 9 to 5. And I would say for my people in corporate America, right, that you should the best way to enter corporate America, right? There's 2 ways you can enter it. You can climb the ladder. Most people do, right? But the best way to enter corporate America is through entrepreneurship. It's through entrepreneurship, right? My people in corporate America, it's obstacles all around you. It's obstacles all around you. Titles come and goes, positions come and go. Treat the people above you and below you. It's good. Everybody got a wall in front of them. Everybody got a wall in front of them. My wall might be taller than yours. His wall might be thicker than mine. And that wall is adversity. Everybody gonna get knocked down. Title, they come, they go. Just like life. You got life. But you can't miss the opposite, death. It's just two sides of both stories. And for my people that's for my entrepreneurs, I would say that get in bed and surround yourself with companions that's in the same field as you, so they can encourage you and support you, and you can find the resources and the help that you need. Because you're gonna fail your way to success. There's a lot of failures, a lot of failures, a lot of failures, a lot of failure. There's a lot of discouragement. There's a lot of like pulling your hair out. And that's why that inner work is so important. So I'll say in a nutshell, do the inner work. So when you gotta do the outer work, it'd be much more easier. Let me say that again, because I talked a lot, and that's why I was just trying to say that part. Do the inner work, and the outer work will be easy. So when you faced with something and you know who you are on the side, you don't waver. When you faced with something and you're let down, your belief is not let down. You heard the no, you didn't accept it. That's important. A lot of people won't give up on their journey, right? Where are you at, LA?
Mm-hmm.
LA is the land of dreams.
Indeed.
But more so, the land of broken dreams.
Absolutely.
Land of broken dreams more is the land of dreams. So before you can land the dream, you gotta land the inner work. And the dream will come, not when you want it, but when it's time and when it's ready. And that would be like my sincere advice. Do the inner work, don't skip the inner work. Know who you are, build who you are, build some beliefs around who you are. Maintain great companionships, great friendships, cultivate those. And look for the overhand right, look for the knockout. And when you get down, look for the ref to get up to beat the count. And keep on doing it in every round if you got to, until you get to the end of the fight. Longevity.
Mm-hmm.
That's all it's about. Life is about longevity, right? And we start the race right now, and you lap me 10 times in 3 days, we'll talk about that all week.
Mm-hmm.
But in 10 years, I'm still in the race. You done burnt yourself out. You done succumbed to this. You done fell victim to this. You got this type of device. You got this type of addiction. Know yourself, be an individual. Don't follow the crowd. Try to be the crowd. If not, step away.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with fitting in, right? You do it in small doses. So if it's a social gathering, let your hair down. But you gotta grow in life. You gotta grow in life. If not, that's where depression come in. That's where self-harm come in. That's where all these doubts about, oh, I'm this age, I want. Know who you are. Pour into yourself so you can be better for yourself. And if you can do that, then anything that you touch will have an effect from it.
See, this has been, first and foremost, thank you, but I'm also mad at you because there's no way I can distill all this wisdom down to a highlight clip on social media. And I almost feel like I just want people to know, take the full measure, just get a chance. And just so for people who are watching, you will receive, the completely unedited, completely authentic, I would say part therapy session, part, life coach talk, part just being real. I'm so deeply appreciative of you spending time just to share your life. I mean, at the end of the day, beyond the marketing and beyond the experience, it's all about giving people time and just intention to share what they've been doing and where they at and where they're going. And I have, so much admiration for your resolve. I have so much respect for the way that you, not even necessarily for the philosophized life, but the way that you are just truly living it and being present for it. And I think, whether it's the stuttering community here at the NSA and beyond, whoever reaches, where the message can go is truly limitless. And so I would say on behalf of my team and behalf of the community, Maleek, thank you so much for being you and for just being an inspiration, and to also for a lot of advice that I felt, poignant. And also I was taking out notes as well the entire time of being, man, this is one way to start my morning. But I feel so grateful. Yeah. And we look forward to featuring you more and continuing the next conversation. So until next time, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me. I hope you have a beautiful morning, man. Drink some coffee, warm yourself up.
We on it. Take care, Maleek. Peace.
You too. Thanks.